to those. And so I would guess they'll be in that low 300 range.
Who's your target market?
For the homes sales? Well, you know, it's an array. I mean, we have, believe it or not, we have 1,000 people on a waiting list that call our office. That almost a week doesn't go by that we get a call from either a local person or people from out of the area. It's about 50-50 that want to buy a house on the beach. And so we believe that if we built, once we start building and selling, we think we'll sell the existing town off in 2 years, which is 100 houses. And because of the uniqueness of it. I mean, people, you know, these homes are dilapidated. I mean, if you drive around that town, it's like I have a hard time driving around it, you know, because it looks so damn bad. And we don't like to have property like that, but we've been so hamstrung with the Coastal Commission on what we can do and we can't do to the houses that we can't really touch them. And so, but when you drive around and look at the homes, I mean, we're pretty confident that they're going to sell off in about 2 years. We think half the people that live here, at least, will buy a house, the house that they're living in, and which is not like what they're not experiencing that in Scotia at all. But there's just a uniqueness out here. People love it, you know. And like I was about to say, I mean, sometimes they don't have any heat. I mean, every home is wood heat. You know, the electricity is suspect at best. I mean, I'm telling you, we have more power outages than anywhere in the friggin' country, I think, out here. I mean, our guys literally, we have a line crew that we ended up hiring because we got tired of paying the local people, you know, those higher rates. And so we have actually a line crew that works for us. And I mean, during the summer, they are working all night, during every storm. They're just like PG&E. I mean, we have a whole different appreciation for PG&E after being out here. You know, because we're subject to the tariff just like PG&E is, so we can only charge so much more than what we pay, and it is not near enough to cover what it costs to operate a system, you know. And so, but people love it. I mean, we have a vacancy out here, and we literally have 5 people every time there's a house vacant that are fighting to get that house. And I mean, they're like wood floors like this. You know, they're not fancy. You know,
they're local.
And mostly local, yeah. But I think on the sale of the new ones, we're going to see a lot of people from the valley. You know, there's a lot of people on our list from Redding, you know, that really want to get out of there in the summertime. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, it might be false, but
way over there.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, you were saying about how when you build a new town, you're going to be, so you're saying you're going to hold off on the repairing of the other buildings, the existing buildings, until that's completed, or is it going to be
No, we have to finish out the existing town. We have a phased condition of approval. I mean, our conditions of approval from the Coastal Commission, to try to say this with a straight face, are 196 pages long. And the longest conditions of approval they had ever done prior to that was 78 pages. And ours is 196. So it's very, very difficult to even know what we are supposed to do and what we're not supposed to do. So I always have to look around the room and make sure nobody from the Coastal Commission is here, because I'm probably speaking incorrectly. But I do know this part, is that we can't start any new development until the existing town is subdivided. It doesn't have to all be sold off, but subdivision means that all of the sewer lines are upgraded, all the water lines are upgraded, new PG&E infrastructure is in, and they're all hooked into the new sewer system. And we can't start any new development until that's complete. And so it's going to be a few years, probably 3 years, before we're able to start the new stuff.
So as residents, we all live here. We're very protective of Samoa. We love it so much, and just a little nerve-wracking to hear new things coming and us getting passed by. So
Right.
that definitely helps. And like you said, driving through the town does not look the prettiest. And as residents here, we try to make our houses look as best as we can.
Well, it's tough, you know, with the restrictions.
Very tough. Yeah.
Which the good news is, when the development is done, those restrictions, the prescriptive rights of maintenance and work that we can do on the homes is much more liberal than what it is now.
Right. Would it be up to us to upgrade our own houses if we don't like our cabinets? Would it be
Well,
on us
if the person ends
to-
up buying it, you know, yes, if the homes that we keep will probably be upgraded. I mean, we don't expect, we being the Samoa Pacific Group, we don't expect that we're going to sell all the houses off. We will not kick anybody out of their house.
Okay, if we don't buy it.
You know, that's if they don't buy it, we're not going to do that. We may work with someone to relocate or something into a different house in the town, but we're not going to come in here on day one and start kicking people out. That's not the mission of the development.
Worried about that, so.
Well, and I'm glad you guys are here, but we're going to have a presentation similar to this in October for the town. And buy everybody dinner here and try to, alleviate some of the fears of what's going on.
Dan, will there be any kind of CCs and Rs out there to get fencing to not be just a hodgepodge, that kind of thing?
Oh yeah, yeah. We have CCNRs that are done and they've been adopted by the county board, and they're probably 300-400 pages long, and it's very, very specific on what you can and can't do in terms of picket fencing, 4 foot tall. I mean, the whole thing. I mean, the idea is that the town character remain as it is, and that's what the idea
But
is.
nice.
But much more upgraded than what it is today, for sure. Yeah.
Dan, when would you hope the entire thing is completed?
Well, if it goes as our projections show, which never does, we're hoping the next crash happens before we start this one, because correction's going to occur, as we all know. But we think 8 years that it'll take us to build it out. From day one of, so eight years from the fall of 2019. Is that right? Or spring of 2019. Go back to that last slide.
27.
No, before there. The fall, phase one starts fall of 2019, so 8 years from that. Yeah, it's a damn good thing I started this project when I was young. Because I've been the project manager of this project from day one. And usually, our projects are managed by one of our development project managers, and this one has been mine, and it's been something, let me tell you.
Dan, I really admire your tenacity, and it's just a staggering amount of work you guys have done over the last 17 years. When you got into this thing, 16, 17 years, did you have any idea? I mean,
we would have never done it.
Crazy.
I mean, it's became, for both myself and my partner Lane, as you all know Lane, I'm sure. And then we have 2 other partners. There's 4 of us that own it, and they're from Holland. And for Lane, for those guys, not so much. I mean, they're like done. I mean, they're ready to blow up the Coastal Commission. They've had all they can take. They bought, just a short story, they bought a soap plant in Holland, which was very similar story to this. It was a huge soap plant on about 200 acres, had housing as part of it, but the people that worked at the soap plant, I mean, it was like the largest soap plant in the world, that was there in Holland. And they bought that. It was closed down. And they did a master plan community on that. They bought that 4 years after we bought this in 2005, and it's sold out. It is built and done. I mean, and they built 400 new houses in it. They built the downtown block, some commercial industrial in it, and it's done. I mean, and we haven't done anything really in terms of construction.
And the whole country of Holland is below sea level.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's all one big coastal commission.
Yeah, it's crazy. So no, there's no question that we would not have done it. I mean, this project has became a legacy type project for the Danco Group and for Lane. And we're so invested in it now. I mean, we have, including the purchase of the property, we have about $15 million tied up out here today, in real cash, like actual dollars that we've put into it. And so, and there's no way we'll ever get it back. I mean, when you look at the return on investment, I mean, you're a stockbroker. I mean, the time value of money. I mean, it's probably going to be 0.25% return per year, if that. And that'll be if we're lucky. Because it's probably 25 years minimum that it's going to take us to actually sell everything off. And so, it's just one of those projects that has become more of that. And that's one of the main reasons, frankly, that I continue to manage it, is because I can't really afford to put one of my guys on it. Because it doesn't produce any income. I mean, the money that we get for rent barely covers what it costs to maintain and operate the town. I mean, there is zero cash flow that comes out of the town at all. I mean, actually, this year, we're in a negative cash flow situation because our westerly system that we have, these homes right here are all sewered on a septic that's actually out in these dunes out here. Next to that parking lot, you know where the parking lot over there is? Well, there's a fence around an area there to the right of that parking lot if you're looking at the ocean, or to the, I guess that'd be what, northwest or northeast. There's a a big leach field out there, and that system failed on us at the beginning of this year, and we had no plan for that to fail, and it cost us about $120,000 to fix it. And so we don't, we're in a negative situation this year. So this town has no investment. It's not a good investment.
Did you have to get a coastal development permit to fix it?
Well, no, we were able to get an emergency one.
Okay.
Yeah, they tried to give us all kinds of hassle.
I know.
Every time you call them, we use a firm called Remy and Muse in Sacramento. They're an attorney firm. And Muse is the guy that wrote the sequel law back in the late 70s and early 80s. Jim Muse is his name. And they're highly, highly regarded. But I mean, these guys are, they're $1,000 an hour guys. Every friggin' time we talk to the Coastal Commission, we have to get them involved. And then as soon as they get involved, the Coastal Commission backs off. But it's just like, it's so painful. I mean, and we're a company that really prides ourselves in working with communities, not against them. And we build projects that communities want to see, but the Coastal Commission is nearly criminal. And I'm not a guy that stands around and complains. I mean, we were developing more work in Arcata during the time in which everybody said Arcata, wouldn't accept any development than all the developers put together. We were there building and working with them and getting along. I mean, that's the way we operate. But man, something's got to be done, with those guys. I mean, what they do to people,
Extortion.
it really is. And they have no accountability at all to anything that they do, from time frames to timelines to anything. And so it'll be interesting to see where they all end up over the years.
We worked at HSU, we worked very hard to purchase that 58,000 square foot building, the old industrial electric.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks to the Coastal Commission, the damn thing's sitting there still vacant.
Right, yeah, it's crazy. And here is a building that's ready to be used.
All set.
Yeah. So sometimes when I get through this project, I said when I get to my retirement ages, my goal is to be to get rid of that thing and see how we can work hard to do that.
Well, I think we've hit our time limit.
Good.
And
Thank
thank you
you
so
very
much.
much.
And
Yep.
just want to say that we completed the lodge at Eureka, which was started back in like 2012, maybe 13. And it's just completely done and it's beautiful, and we just so appreciate that we have that.
Start over what?
The lodge at Eureka, which is the repurposing of the old downtowner, which they did a gorgeous job of, and it's now offering 49 units of low income housing.
And homeless.
And 15 units are being co-sponsored by the city and the county for homeless at subsidized rates.
Yeah, and it's the first mixed-use homeless project in the state. I don't know if you knew that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're using it. I mean, it's got its challenges, as you know. There were some articles in the paper a couple of weeks ago. We've got the homeless people, and there's challenges with that. But
Some of that is just perception too.
and it just takes time to work through it. But it's a pretty neat project.
Yes. Well, anyway, thank you so much,
Thank
and I
you.
hope that's
Yep.
clarified a lot of things. Thank you.
Thank you for the picture. Oops, sorry about that. Thank you for the picture. Very cool. Thank you.
One last thing, if you didn't sign in,